Yo, yo, what's going on, fam? So, I wanted to come on here and answer a very interesting DM that I got the other day from somebody. And this person was talking about a question that they had about when we do the work to heal ourselves and basically do the work to try to become more safe in our body, get familiar with our childhood wounds, heal the limiting beliefs and negative emotional patterns that may be holding us back. Um, do we lose motivation to create? And do we basically just become so satisfied with our present moment experience that we don't really bother to make anything or create anything? And it got me thinking, it's a really interesting question because I think there is this sort of cultural trope that we feel, especially when we think about creatives and artists. Like if you think about great artists in history and how many of them were able to create really powerful and impactful work on the back of some sort of major trauma that they were suffering, some sort of heartbreak or, some addiction or something like that. And how a lot of great art has come out of this feeling of suffering, this feeling of really using the pain that you're going through and alchemizing that to create art. And I think if we're not careful, we can start to believe that that is what's required to create great art. And if we take on that belief, whether consciously or subconsciously, then there may be a part of us, if we're creatives, if we want to make art, that is actually hindering our own healing and getting in the way of doing the work to become more whole and to feel more at peace with ourselves. Because a part of us believes that if we really feel acceptance of ourselves and feel great, then we may not be inspired to create anything, or we won't create anything good. And that's kind of what this person was asking about, because basically I think the exact question he was asking was, is there any room for art that's created from a whole place in a traumatized and unhealed world? And I thought that was such a great question, and a really deep question. And my answer to that is an unequivocal yes, in the sense that that's exactly what this world needs, and that's the case and the nature of all innovation. Like all innovation and all real creativity and originality is bucking the trend of what is the status quo. That's what makes something truly innovative. And so when we talk about creating art, whatever your medium is, whether you're a musician or a business person or a coach, or you're just like working your company, but you're trying to bring a fresh sense of innovation to it. You're trying to do things from a place of collaboration and not competition. Whatever type of innovation you're trying to do, the more that we can create from a whole place and not be leveraging our pain to continue to inform our art, but rather healing our pain and actually taking care of ourselves, we start to actually change the narrative that you need to be a fucked up human being to make great art, or that you need to be in pain. And that becomes the innovation. The fact that we are actually creating from a healed place becomes the innovation. So I actually think that, contrary to what we might intuitively think, which is that, oh, well, if I just like take care of all my issues, then I'm not going to have any meaningful art to create, because look at all these great artists in the past who were like super fucked up. They had addictions or problems, or, they died young, but they created all this great art. And we almost kind of glorify this archetype of the wounded artist, the perpetually wounded, broken artist. And that's what made them able to create great art. And at the level of consciousness that we can appreciate that art, it's not incorrect to say that. But my charge to all of you out there who are resonating with this, any of you who are artists, is let your healing and let your ability to come from a place of wholeness and create from a place of wholeness be the new innovation. Let that be the next evolution in consciousness, from creating art from a place of being healed. And if enough of us start to do that, we'll change the paradigm and start to actually bring light into a world that, as I agree with the person that sent me this DM, is very much used to trauma, and it is very much identified with trauma and not being able to see past our wounds. So that would be my answer to that question. I feel like, on the one hand, yes, there has been a lot of amazing art that's been created by people that had all kinds of issues. And you could argue, like, yeah, maybe they probably wouldn't have made that art. And maybe they wouldn't have been as famous or well known if they hadn't had all those issues. And that says a lot about the society that is rewarding that. But ultimately, everything is changing and everything is evolving. And so if we can start to treat creating art from a healed place as the new innovation that's building up on top of that old way of creating, the old way being this identity and archetype of this, fucked up artist that like has an addiction or whatever. And like, that's what makes them cool. If we can start to rewire that, then we can actually create an innovation out of healing.